Hello, everyone. I would like to thank you all for joining us for the Math 137 Getting Started webinar. My name is Jacob Varney, instructional designer for IvyOnline and project manager for the most recent development of Math 137 for IvyOnline. We'll be using this time to take a look at the new course and how you can get started. Joining me today is Gary Netherton. Gary is the course mentor and developer who will walk you through the course and answer any questions you might have about delivering the course either during this session or afterwards. If you have any questions, you'd like to email him. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat or use the raise hand feature to let us know that you would like to ask a question. Next, I'm going to go ahead and do a couple quick check things. I will skip through these because we currently do not have any participants. With that, I will go ahead and pass things over to Gary to give us a quick tour of the course.
I am going to now set up an IvyOnline class for this video. It's going to be a Math 137 class. I want to try and capture the steps that I go through when I set up a class. There may be better ways to set up a class, but these are the things I do. Some of them I've learned just by trial and error. So I'm going to try and share my screen, and hopefully you will now see this is my IvyLearn dashboard. Here are published courses. I'm talking to you now in the late spring of 2021, so these are classes I finished, but under unpublished, I have this course here, Math 137-10P. I was assigned this class and it has shown up now on my dashboard, and I have not done any setup with this class at all. So I'm going to try and step through the way I set up this class, and that may be of help to some of you. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and go into this class. And the first thing I do is I'm going to go in, let me tell you what I'm going to do, and then we'll do it. This is a math class, and all the homework problems, quiz problems, and the exams, the actual problems are contained in the Pearson product MyMathLab. So really we have two things going on. We have the Canvas product, which we call IvyLearn, which is, I guess, what we call a learning management system, right? IvyLearn, this is what you're looking at now. But at the same time, we also have the, now I'm going to confirm, because I'm using Zoom and I was told that there should be I'm going to confirm that I'm in fact sharing what I'm looking at. Okay, so what worries me is they said normally when you share, you have a green screen around. So my apologies for this. Well, I'm going to keep going, and I'm hoping you can see what I'm describing. So anyway, so we have two issues here. We have all the problems really contained in MyMathLab, and then we have, of course, the class and then IvyLearn. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have to go into MyMathLab and create the class in MyMathLab, or really we're going to copy it. The class already been created. We just have to sort of copy it and set it up. So nowadays we go over here on the left, you see this BNC bookshelf. So I'm going to choose it. Now, the very first time you click on this, here's what you should see. In the future times, as you manage this class, we're also going to click on BNC bookshelf to get into the MyMathLab. At least that's the way I do it. So the first time, so anytime we're doing this, you always click on Launch Courseware. Now, since this is the very first time this class is not set up, you get this create a course screen. Now, let me back up for a second, because one thing we're going to need to do, the very first thing, so it looks like it by default has chosen a book and has a picture of it. But we need to actually have what's called a course ID. So right here, you see at the bottom of this page, refer to copy an existing course based on this material. It says enter the course ID. That's what we're going to do. This course has already been created in MyMathLab. We're going to simply copy it. So you have to enter a code here. So what's the code? Well, the way you find the code is you have to go back to IvyLearn. So I'm going to go back here to IvyLearn. And I am now going to go into modules. All right, so here we go to modules. And in modules, under instructor resources, we have an instructor guide. Here it says MATH137 instructor guide. So I open that up. Now I'm just going to warn you occasionally, and I don't understand this very well. This is like a Google Doc or a Google document. Sometimes in the past, when people try to open up this guide, it doesn't open up. And for some crazy thing, what you have to do is, or at least what I found to work, is you have to go in and open up like your Gmail account, your Ivitech Gmail account. For some reason, if you just open that up and then you come back and try and open up this guide, then usually it opens. Why is that? I don't know. So anyways, what I'm doing, I'm looking for this course ID. I'm just going to scroll through this document. This is a little tricky because you get here under what's new, and you see this link here to Pearson Instructor Guide. As it turns out, that course ID is listed in this Pearson Instructor Guide. So if I click on it, and then I have to click on the link, it opens up another item, and this is called the instructor guide. Now this has lots of information, which I'm not going to go through now, because what I'm going to look for is there's a table down here. Here is this table, and these are all the IvyOnline classes, and next to it is the course ID. So here we go for Math137. It's designer. I'm going to copy this down. Designer 84080. So now I'm going to go back to this page, go back to this page in the Pearson MyMathLab where she asked me for the course ID. And I'm going to type in designer 84080. I'm going to look it up, and hopefully a class is going to pop up. So here it is, Math137 instructor course, and it's this same book. So we're going to go ahead and select this. Now it's going to ask me a few questions, a few pieces of information for this course. First of all, we're going to click it's a student use course. So course name, I usually leave this one by default. Sometimes course description. Now I'm not sure where all these things show up, but sometimes I think it helps me. Sometimes I like to actually be able to easily see what's going on. So this is Math137-10P, and I'm going to put summer 2021. Now the course dates, what you want to do is you want to actually put today's date, because we're going to have to go in and do some work in the MyMathLab. If I left this default date of June 5th, then I would not be able to go in and edit the MyMathLab. So I'm going to put today's date. And Obviously, this course is going to end at the end of July. Right now it has October, which is fine because sometimes you might have vacations where you may have an incomplete or something else that needs to be done. You need to extend the course. So it's good to have some extra time at the end of the semester in case you have to do a little cleanup with some people. Instructors can copy the course. Sure. So create course. Now it says new courses may take up to 3 hours to create. You'll receive an email confirmation when the course is ready. Close the tab to return to Canvas. So now, basically you go to your email and you wait, and you should get an email from Pearson saying that the course is ready to go. It says 3 hours. My experience is it may take 5 to 10 minutes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and pause this. I'm going to stop this share and then pause the recording. And as soon as I get my email confirmation, we'll start again and we can keep going. So right now I'm going to pause and look for that email. Okay, so we're back now. So like I said, that took all of 2 or 3 minutes. Let me just quickly show you the email. See if I can share my email. So you can see here from Pearson, dear Gary, you successfully created your course. You can now add links. So this just says, okay, the course is created. That's all I really want to know. So what I'm going to do now is to go ahead and I'm going to now go into Pearson, into my math lab, and I'm going to look at all the assignments, it's quizzes and homework and exams, and I'm going to put in the correct due dates. So this is the order I do it. As it turns out, we have to have due dates in both IvyLearn and my math lab. But I've learned that if I can go in and put in the due dates in the My Math Lab, then we have a method where we can go ahead and take the due dates from My Math Lab and automatically pull them in to IvyLearn, and then the dates will be automatically set. In other words, I don't have to go set all the dates twice. If I set up the dates, the due dates in My Math Lab, then I can pull those due dates into IvyLearn, and I'll have to do it by hand. So let's do that. So now the job is, let's go into my math lab. The way I normally do it, I don't know if everybody does it, I go back to my my class in IvyLearn. So here it is, I'm in IvyLearn now. I'm going to go back to this BNC bookshelf, and it's going to come up with this, once again, launch courseware, which I'm going to choose. Except unlike the first time, now it's going to show me a different screen now that my class has been created. Now, once again, this is just the way I do things. I'm sure other people do things differently, and there's even better ways, but my goal is just to get in. I actually want to get into the My Math Lab assignment manager because that's where we set the date. So I go down here and I click on My Math Lab assignment manager. So now we're in, actually they call it My Lab Math. I think they must have changed the name. A lot of us just call it My Math Lab. So here's a list. This is called the homework/test manager. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about how My Math Lab works, except just to say that this is a list of all the assignments that are contained in My Math Lab. You can see we've got module 01A homework, 01A quiz, 01B homework, we go all the way down, we get to module 4. You see there's a midterm exam. Turns out for this class, it's broken up into 8 modules. But the key is these due dates obviously are not correct. These due dates are just random dates that when we copied this course, it just pulled in the due dates for that, which are not correct. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have a list of what your due dates are going to be for this class, and then we're going to go change all these. So let me show you how I change them, and then I might pause the recording and let it run. We'll see. It's just not real exciting once you see it. The nice thing is my math lab makes it not too painful to change due dates. If I go up to the top here, in this blue bar, I have change dates and assign status. So if I click on there, then there's another screen where, once again, it has all the different assignments and tasks, but it has a bit more information. Now, once again, I've learned just by trial and error. And what happens is, in this class, for me, you notice the first 4 assignments, module 01A homework, module 01A quiz, module 01B homework, module 01B quiz, and then it goes to module 02. The way this math class is structured, there are 4 assignments for module 1, and as it turns out, they're all going to be due on midnight on Sunday. So these first 4 assignments all have the same due date. So because of that, what I can do is I can go and I'm going to choose the 4 assignments in module 1. And I go to the top, and I'm now going to put in the due date for those first 4 assignments. And I got a little calendar here. Turns out for this class, it's going to be Sunday, June 13th, and by default, it's 11:59, which is midnight. And then right below it, it says apply to selected. See right now for this module 1A homework, right now it's set up for 8/13/21 and then 5/29. Sorry, that was my phone. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and click on apply select, and you'll see that the 4 items that I have checked here, the due dates are all going to change to what I have here. So in a sense, I can change 4 at a time. So apply to selected, and then if I look, the 4 ones that are checked are right here. Now, I want to do the next 4. So the next 4 are the module 2 ones. Another quick way I found to, what I'm going to do is, if I click up here in this box up in the upper left-hand corner, that chooses all the boxes, which I don't really want. But then if I click it again, it unclicks them all. So that's a way to sort of clear everything out. So now I've cleared them all out. I'm going to now go and choose the 4 module 2 assignments. I go to the top, and I now set my date of when the module 2 assignments are going to be due, which is 6/20. And then I apply to selected. And then if I go look, I should see all the module 2 assignments now have the correct due date. So I'm going to go and pause this recording. I'm going to take the time to go put in the proper dates for all the rest of these assignments. And when I get that finished, we'll come back and continue. So let me stop the sharing, and I'm going to pause this. Okay, I'm back now. I have now put in all the correct due dates for all the assignments in my math lab. Let me go and share my screen, and I can show you that. So you can see here that you can see like module 2 is 6/20, module 3 is 6/27. Clear to enter the class, module 8 is like July 31st. Now on this page, you have to make sure, I always click update all settings. I think if I click done, sometimes it doesn't save it. I think I've done that before. So update all settings. And now I go back to my homework and test manager, that initial list as just a quick confirmation, I can see I have 4 due dates for the module 1 stuff, 6/13. The module 2 stuff is all 6/20. The module 3 stuff is all 6/27. Module 4, now module 4 is a little different because the homework and the quiz and the test review problems are on 7/5, but the actual exam is due on 7/3. So, but then 5, 6, 7, it looks to me like all the dates now in my math lab are correct. So the whole point is I've now set all these dates, and I can now go back into IvyLearn, and I can now pull over this information and not have to reset all these due dates in IvyLearn. So here's how we do that. So let's go back now to my IvyLearn. And the way we do this, it's a feature, an operation they have called grade sync. And we'll get to that in a minute. Grade sync. As a matter of fact, as you're teaching this class, whenever students have finished some assignments and you want to pull the grades from my math lab and put them in the IvyLearn grade book, you're going to use grade sync. So it's the same operation. But before we do that, we have to do one thing. In IvyLearn, I'm going to go to assignments, and you will see the categories of assignments for this class. Of course, the main ones are quizzes. So if you click on quizzes and you see 50% of the grade is made up of quizzes, and you'll see all these quizzes. Now, just so you know, these quizzes and these links are sort of left over or are part of the IvyLearn master shell. These are not really correct. You notice there's not even any due dates. So this is not really like we want it. And the same thing, if I can move this around, I'll move homework next. I look at the homework. It's like the names are there, but there should be due dates also listed here, which are not there. So this assignments page, and just so you know, test reviews, there are 2 test reviews. There are discussion boards. The discussion boards are actually contained in IvyLearn, nothing to do with my lab, my math lab. Midterm exam, and then the final exam. So here's what I'm going to do now. Let's do homework first. Now it's important, so I'm going to pull over, in the sense we call it syncing. I'm going to sync or pull over information and the homework assignments from my math lab and pull them in to IvyLearn. And I think what's going to happen, even though I've got all these homework assignments here, which have the correct names, they're not the correct dates. And even if I were to click on one of these, it's not going to take me, normally, if it's working correctly, if I click on this, it should take me in to the homework assignment in my math lab. Let's just see what happens. See, it goes into this create a course. This is like a default screen saying it doesn't, it's lost. It doesn't know really where to go. So that means that, you know, that item, once again, it's under assignments, that item right here is not really going to where it's supposed to go. And that's because it's almost like it's a dead link. It's not really a correct link. What I'm going to do is, in just a minute, I'm going to pull in all the information from my math lab. And then I can look here, and these items should all be active. Let's just do it, and then you can see. Now, the key thing is, you have to do these one type of assignment at a time. In other words, I am first going to go grab all the homework assignments, because the way the grade, or the way this sync works, whatever I pull in to IvyLearn by default goes in this top group. This is called the homework group. So I can't pull everything in, because if I pulled everything in, all the homework, all the quizzes, the exams would all be put under homework. Now, yes, I can move them around, but that would be sort of a pain. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to, in a minute, perform my sync. We call it grade sync because normally we do it for grades. I'm going to perform the grade sync, but I'm only going to choose the homework assignments for this class. So once again, since I need to do this in Pearson in my math lab, so let me restate. I'm going to do the homework assignments. Homework's at the top. I go into B&C bookshelf. I go ahead, as always, I hit launch courseware. Now, oftentimes when you're going into work in my math lab, you just choose this assignment manager. But now I'm doing this grade sync. So I go up here and I choose grade sync. Now, what grade sync does, it goes in and it lists all the assignments that it sees in my math lab. You notice here are the 4 module 1 homework quizzes, the module 2. If you go to module 4, you got your exam. So this goes in and looks at the class in my math lab and it lists all the assignments. What I'm going to do is I want to now, in a sense, pull over or sync only the homework assignment. So I go along here and I click on all the homework assignments. Because once again, in IvyLearn, whatever I sync or pull over is going to go up at the very top. I don't want to stick quizzes or exams in my homework group. So I'm going to choose all the homework assignments. So I think I've got them all. I go back to the top and I click on this blue box, sync grades now. And if you look, it's like it's working. And then when it finishes, it'll say synced and it gives you a running total. And I think there were 14 of them. So it's done. So now let's go back into IvyLearn. Let's go back into assignments. Now what I hope happens is when I look at homework, it's actually different because you notice maybe the same title, but look here, it actually has a due date pulled in now. Look at the module 1 homeworks. There's 2 of them, module 1A and B, due date's June 13th. Look at the module 2A homeworks, due date June 20th, module 3A, 27th. So you notice it sort of pulled them in from my math lab and it even brought in the due dates. And now if I click on one of these, it should actually open up the assignment in my math lab. So in a sense, this sort of jumped in to my math lab and you see here's module 01A homework, it's due 6/13. These are the actual problems in my math lab. Remember before it was like a dead link, it gave you that screen talking about creating a course. Here it actually takes you into the homework. So it looks like that was a successful operation. So now, so I've done the homework. I want to do quizzes next. So I can sort of close the homework group. I'm going to move quizzes to the top once again, because whatever I sync goes into the top. I'm now going to sync the quizzes. I need to move it to the top on my assignments page. And just to clarify once again, it has the names, but these are what I call dead links. We can try it just for fun. If I click on that, it should go into my math lab, and instead it does this create a course because it's lost. It doesn't know where it's supposed to be. So now we're going to do a grade sync, right? So grade sync, you go to B&C bookshelf, and you always click on launch courseware. And then I'm going to click on grade sync. Let me pause for just a minute. Hello? Sorry about that. I'm in my office, so sometimes the phone rings and stuff. Let me go back to share my screen where we were. So now I'm going to do the grade sync of the quizzes. So here we are. Click on grade sync. Now I'm going to go down here. Here's my list of everything in my math lab. Now I'm going to choose all the quizzes. So I go along here, I click on all the quizzes. Once again, there's probably going to be maybe 14 of them or maybe 12. I'm not sure about the exact number. All right, I think I've checked them all. Go up here, sync grades now. Takes a few seconds. Goes pretty fast. Let's see how many there are. Oh, 14 again. It looks like they're all synced. So now let's go back into IvyLearn, back into assignments. And when I look under quizzes now, you notice Module 01A quiz, and it's got a due date, June 13th. Module 01B quiz, June 13th. And actually now, if I click on this, it should take me into my math lab, and it should look like the start of a quiz. And when you take a quiz in my math lab, this is what happens. Are you ready to start? Gives you some information, and you start because it's a timed quiz. So yes, now this is active. This is the correct link. This is taking me to the Module 01A quiz. So now I have the quizzes and homeworks in here. And what's nice is, well, let me finish. So test reviews, although there are only 2, let's go ahead and sync those in. So right now there are the 2 items, but these are not correct. So go through the same procedure, BNC bookshelf. So it's like you have to go through this procedure for each group on your assignments page. But once again, it saves a lot of time. You don't have to do it by hand. So I'll do a grade sync. Now I'm looking for those test reviews, which are like 04B test review and 08B test review. There are 2 of them. I'm going to sync them. Once again, the key was I moved the test review to the top of my assignments page. So it puts them in the top. The only thing left are really the exams. So let's move up my midterm, clear the top. I'm going to grade sync the midterm exam. It's only 1 midterm exam, but I still need to go through this procedure. Grade sync. Let me find the midterm exam, 04B midterm exam. And 1 item synced, I can go check it. If I go back to assignments, there it is. It's got the date. Once again, if I were to see if it takes me to my math lab. In this case, when students take a test, the first thing is enter the password. So yes, this is actually modules are for midterm exam. This is the exam. All right, so let's go back and sync up the final exam. So once again, the procedure is I've got to move the final exam up to the top. And then I'm going to BNC bookshelf and do my grade sync. So launch courseware. And grade sync. Let's go find the final exam way down here toward the bottom. sync grades now. Let's go back and just confirm. And there it is. Now I'm going to go ahead, just because for practical sense, now that I've done all my syncing, I sort of put these in the order I sort of like them. Now, so the good thing is, in IvyLearn now, there's a bunch of places where the assignments are listed with due dates, and those should all be correct. So for instance, one place is when you create your syllabus, at the very bottom of the syllabus is like a list of assignments. Now, what they call it, course summary. And it's basically saying Sunday, June 13th, these assignments in my math lab are due. And then June 20th, these are the ones that are due. And June 27th, and the test is July 3rd. So the nice thing is, at the very bottom of the syllabus, we need to have a list of all the assignments for this class with the correct due dates. Well, when I grade synced all these items in from my math lab, it fills this out automatically. Something else that sometimes students might want to do is, there's an item on here called calendar. I think if I go to home, I don't use this a lot, but I'll view calendar right down here. Some students might want to actually view the calendar in IvyLearn. And I think what it should do now is, once again, it's like a calendar, and it'll tell you stuff that's due. In other words, right now it's saying June 13th, I got 4 assignments due. June 20th, these assignments due. So once again, it's like every place we look in IvyLearn now, all those assignments have due dates where they belong. Let me pause for just a minute, and I'm going to think and make sure now I've covered everything I want to tell you. So let me just pause this, and I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, there's one last thing I wanted to show you. I just checked on it. Want to make sure I knew what I was talking about. So if I go back into my class in IvyLearn, another thing that these online classes have, normally we spend a lot of time creating these modules. So once again, this class has 8 modules. So you have the instructor resources, but then below that, and then you have resources. But the thing for the students are, we have these modules. Here's module 1, there's a module 2, looks like they're all opened. And inside these modules are information and even links to homework assignments and all kinds of things. So what we try and do is, so for module 1, which is in a sense the first week, we have a quick overview. Students can open this, learn activities, some videos they can watch, but here's the whole key. They get down here under assignments and assessments, discussion board, and then you see this homework here. Now the nice thing is, if I click on this, it is actually once again going to take me into that homework assignment in my math lab. So it's like everything is sort of in sync. And if I were to choose in module 1, the quiz, it should open up the quiz in my math lab. And it does. So this is something I've learned and set up a class that is actually pretty helpful. So once again, as I finish up here, a quick review was that when I'm first assigned a class, I open the class in IvyLearn and I do the BNC bookshelf, and the hit on the Learn Courseware. The first time in, it's going to have me find the course ID and load it. And that's going to sort of load, create the class in my MATLAB. And that's when they'll send me the email saying your class has been created. Once that's done, then I go ahead and I go into my MATLAB and I go into the assignment manager, and then I put in all the correct due dates for all the assignments in my MATLAB. And once I've done that, then I go back to IvyLearn and I go into the assignments page. And then I'm going to sync in all the assignments one group at a time. In other words, I'm going to sync in all the homework assignments from my MATLAB. So you remember I moved the homework group to the top of the assignments page. Then I went into BNC Bookshelf. I did a grade sync. It gives me the list of all the assignments. I chose all the homework assignments. I clicked on the grade sync button. After a few seconds, I went back into IvyLearn. Lo and behold, I opened up, looked at the homework group and assignments, and all the assignments are there with the correct due dates, and those links are all active to my MATLAB. Right, and then after homework, I did quizzes, and then I did the exams. And so now I have all the assignments in my MATLAB with the correct due dates. And then all those assignments with the correct due dates are also in IvyLearn. And in IvyLearn, I have all the links that are active that can take me directly into my MATLAB. So this is the method I've learned to set up a class. There may be even other things that people do that's even better, more clever, but I found this to be pretty helpful and wanted to share it with you all. So by all means, if you have any questions or suggestions, ways to do things even better, let me know, and we can all become experts in this. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to stop this recording now, and hopefully if this has been of help to you, let me know. All right, regards everyone.
Gary?
Yes, so just a quick history. When this class moved into IvyOnline, I had been teaching this class for a few years, actually copied the course from another Ivy Tech region, so I did not originate it, but offered to more or less use the course I had been teaching and was asked to go ahead and do this. So with Jacob's help, we went through the official process and came up with a course. Just as an FYI, initially it's a pretty slimmed down course in terms of, I know a lot of math classes have lots of content and links and stuff, which is great. We decided for efficiency's sake to get this going, just to sort of give you what you needed to teach the course. So basically, I don't know if Jake, you want to start with, I guess, the syllabus. It's a pretty routine syllabus. You'll need to put your personal information up front. A lot of this stuff is sort of boilerplate. The only thing, of course, you have to be aware of is later on there are some. One thing that's interesting, I guess, is supervisor. From what I understand, if you're a full-time person, from what I understand, you'll need to put down your actual campus supervisor. If you're an adjunct, I believe you'll put down the IvyOnline corporate person. So that's something that's a little bit different. Jacob, correct me if I'm mistaken, because I think we're all learning this new system a little bit.
That's correct. The adjuncts would just delete this section down here, and Aaron would just be their supervisor.
Right. Okay. And then the text, all that stuff's pretty much is in there, so nothing needs to be changed. I guess the only thing I can think of it really have to be careful of initially are some of the initial dates. Of course, every semester you'll have different dates of the initial, that first week when students have to get some work done to not be dropped from the class, and then the actual withdrawal date. So that's the thing you always have to be aware of. That's down further in the syllabus, there's always those dates of when those kinds of things happen. That's the first thing I can think of that you definitely will have to change. Yeah, right around in there. So that's the stuff. You'll just check your calendar for each semester and make sure those dates are correct.
The good thing is for the summer that there's only one possible date, but during the fall and spring, they'll definitely have to pick from the second or first 8-week drops.
Right. And then other than that, in terms of the rest of the syllabus, it's pretty much, it just lays out all the typical stuff you see in syllabi. I guess Jacob has stopped, and this is still, I guess, from my standpoint, a work in progress because of hopefully coming out of COVID. At some point in time, we'll be back to sort of normal standard operating procedure in terms of campuses. Typically in the past, online students, the majority of them would actually physically go to an Ivy Tech campus and go to the testing center and sit down and take the test. So they're proctored, which is really ideal. But since COVID, things have, of course, been a lot of turmoil. And honestly, online teachers, everybody's tried to do a few different things and do the best they can and make do. I still think we're a little in flux. So the proctored exam, it probably should be a little bit generic, except if you decide how you're going to do it. Tests have to be proctored, bottom line, but the way you bring that about, it seems like teachers doing lots of different things, and I think we're giving everybody flexibility until COVID ends. Once COVID ends, I think it's going to be way more standardized like it used to be. I don't know if Jacob, you want to add to that, or if that's where we're at right now.
Unfortunately, I'm pretty disconnected from proctoring,
right.
So I can only hope for the best once the fall comes
right.
around.
I mean, honestly, the hardest thing about COVID, in my opinion, I think a lot of math teachers is giving exams. That's just been the real thing that it's just, there's not a lot of good solutions. Sometimes you do the best you can, but hopefully that will change soon. And then after that, I think it's there's some course specific breakdowns of what's involved in the course, pretty typical online class discussions, homework, quizzes, exams. The one thing that this is something I do, and I chose to make it part of this class. A lot of math classes will have practice tests, which helps the students get ready for the exams. I won't go into detail now, but I never thought practice tests were the most efficient way to help students prepare for the exam. So instead of a practice test, I call mine like test review assignments, and I turn it into more of a homework assignment. Students are required to do it. I guess I'll be real quick. A practice test is like you take a test. You answer all 25 or 30 questions in a 2-hour time span. And then when you're all done, you finish, and then you can go back and see what you missed. To me, that's not a very efficient way, maybe for students to study for the exam. I would rather a student work a problem and then right away check their answer. And if it's wrong, then they can address that problem and try and see what they're doing wrong or if they're not understanding it. You can't do that with a practice test. You have to spend 2 hours. Then you go back and try and sort through the ones you missed. Maybe it's a problem you worked an hour and a half ago and you forgot what you even did. So a review assignment, you work them one at a time, you get immediate feedback, and you can hopefully, students can assess where they're at, and on the problems they're not able to do correctly, then they can right away look at their notes, look at various resources to determine what's going on or to get help. So that may be a little bit different than some other math classes you may have taught or have seen online. But other than that, it's pretty standard. There are some discussion boards. And beyond that, in terms of the syllabus, I think it'll look pretty much like you're used to seeing, a lot of boilerplate stuff.
Sounds good. And the grading scheme?
Yeah, grading's fairly standard, I think. This is pretty typical for online math, I think, the breakdown. So it's not always, online classes are tough because you take a midterm exam and then sometimes students don't do so well. Unfortunately, they get themselves in a hole and it's hard to dig out of. So you really want to encourage your students to prepare. Those two exams are like 60% of the grade. So you can't afford to slack off on those or you're digging quite a hole. So whatever we can do to encourage students to prepare for those exams, especially that first exam, do all you can to get your students prepared so they can do well, or sort of hard to dig out of that hole if they don't do very well.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we will go ahead and scroll on up to we can start at the instructor resources, just to kind of give an overlay of what's available in the course for instructors.
Yeah, once again, I think this is, and I think up the top, the math instructor, a lot of this is, once again, boilerplate. A lot of stuff, I think some of the stuff that's been developed even by Pearson and its documents they've provided, and usually they've done a good job a lot of times. If it's things that we, faculty, need to do or to pass on to students, a lot of times the document will have screenshots and it's pretty clear about steps to go through. I guess the one thing, I don't know if you want to open the MATH137 instructor guide. It's and I'll just be refreshed on what it has in there. Once again, I think it's pretty boilerplate, but it gives the breakdown. Of course, these are all 8-module classes now. So in this class, the way we've chosen to do it, this class was originally a 16-week class. So when we went to 8 modules or 8 weeks, basically it's going to be 2 assignments and 2 quizzes per week, except for the exam weeks when there's 1 homework and 1 quiz. So that's pretty standard, I think. The key is, and right here under what's new, once again, there's a link to the Pearson instructor guide, and they will give you information about initial setup of the class. And it's a pretty good document because there are screenshots. And if you've not done this before, or if you've not taught a bunch of classes, you might forget from semester to semester exactly what to do. So that's a good refresher. So, and once again, feel free to reach out to me at any time if you're not sure about something or some setup issues. Usually things go pretty smoothly. And in my opinion, it's been a big blessing with the inclusive access, because in the past, one of the big issues with the start of class was getting students registered into the Pearson My Math Lab to be able to start working on their homeworks and quizzes. But now there's no payment required. So it's nice once students get themselves sort of into the class and they're good to go. And it's made things a lot smoother from the top. So that's been one blessing that's happened in the last year or so. Usually students get into class and get going easier than they had in the past. So that's been a blessing for us. And yeah, once again, if you have any questions, let me know. The documents in Pearson are pretty good, but if you're not quite sure how to interpret something or see it, then don't be shy, or just call me, because a lot of times, I know my experience, I could spend an hour or two trying to figure something out. And if I called someone, they can answer my question in 5 minutes. Doesn't mean, obviously, you want to sort of, first instinct, just call and get help. If you need to obviously think about it yourself and see if you can figure it out. But at some point, if you're not sure you're making progress, then by all means, feel free to call me, because my guess is it's probably something that may not be that difficult. It's just you've not done it before, or maybe even the directions aren't quite clear. So by all means, don't knock yourself out. If you need help, please ask myself or any other person that can be a good resource. So, I think in terms of, so once as a teacher, you get the class set up, and then once that first weekend, students begin to get their classes set up. And those are probably 70% of any issues. It's the initial, the week before and the first week, getting everybody on board. And then once things get rolling, the class, in one sense, sort of runs itself. Students, our job, I think, as instructors are to continually give reminders and updates of students about any important dates, like that first week from the top. You've got to tell them, hey, typically it's like a Thursday of that first week that they've got to get some graded assignment done to not be dropped. Usually I tell them go in and do that first discussion board. It's a 5 or 10 minute activity. Just get it done and then you're good to go. So constant reminders throughout the semester. A big one is as the midterm exam and the final exam gets closer, start letting people know, make them aware of how you're choosing to give the exams. Once again, that's going to be unique to each teacher, how they choose to do that. And really stress to them to be prepared for those exams, because those exams in large part determine a big part of their grade. So they've got to be ready for that. So basically it's a communication thing as the semester goes on. The class hopefully set up pretty well. Students will learn how to open up homework assignments and open up quizzes and do their work. And if you're not familiar with the class, in the syllabus itself, it gives details on homeworks and quizzes, and you can review that and obviously ask any questions if you have any questions about sort of how we've chosen to do things. What I've done, I already prepared an email for my students. I try and give them from the top sort of I think I called my email how this class works, and I try and really make it very clear to them, once they're ready to start working on the class, where do they go? I think in this class, typically the goal is most of the time students can just open up their modules page, and then they will have 8 modules listed, and they click on module 1, and it should give them an overview of what they're going to be doing that week. And then there will be links to the homeworks and the quizzes for that week and discussion boards. So it's almost like the modules page, I think for students, is sort of a one-stop shopping. Probably the best thing there are other ways to access MyMathLab, and there are multiple paths there, but probably the cleanest, easiest way if students get into the habit of just going to the modules page in IvyLearn, and then whatever week they're in, they open up, if it's the second week, they open up module 2, and there should be listed all the stuff that's required that week, and even links to the MyMathLab. The quizzes and the homework and exams are all executed in MyMathLab. So that link should take them right. If they're ready to do the first homework assignment for module 2, they click on it, boom, it should take them right to the homework assignment in MyMathLab. They can click on the first problem and start working. So I think as a teacher, especially that first week, you can encourage students to really use that modules page, and they should be pretty much good to go. And students, in my experience, pretty quickly figure things out, and they know how to access homework and quizzes. Now, one issue which I think we allow teachers some flexibility, and once again, we're all different a little bit. You are always going to have students, for whatever reason, you'll get an email Sunday evening, maybe Monday, saying, this happened and this happened, and my internet went down, and someone got sick, or I was called into work and I didn't get all the homework assignment done. And in my opinion, that's going to be pretty much your call in terms of extension policy. I think even in the syllabus are probably sort of, it's pretty generic in there. So just be aware that's going to happen. Typically, I think a lot of online teachers it's simplest to say Sunday at midnight will be when that first week's work is due. So typically in this class, if you choose to do that, that means like Sunday midnight, typically the students will have to have 2 homework assignments done, 2 quizzes completed, possibly a discussion board. It's a lot of work. Once again, another good communication point for students would be, don't wait until Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon to decide to start working on the class, because then they're going to be in trouble. So hopefully they will be wise about how they spend their time. But I'm just warning you now, it's inevitable that you're going to have students at some point in time have not gotten their work done. And then you can just, I think we pretty much leave it up to the teacher to decide extension policy. And I guess my philosophy is sort of find the balance between things do happen and it's okay to be a little flexible. But then of course the danger is if you're too flexible, then students abuse that. So at least with me, it's walking a fine line. Sometimes in the past, I've even set a policy where you get, I'll give you one extension for a few days, you get full credit. Second time, you get like 75% or 50%. Third time, you get nothing, just to sort of wean them off of the idea that they can just ask for an extension and it's not a problem, because we don't want them to do that. But those are the kinds of things you can set for your own course. You can determine what policies you want, and I think we're okay with that. So I guess in terms of students, yeah, have them go to modules. Now, the one thing about this class, so this is sort of, might be a little different. I've taught this class for enough years that I, on my own, just to help my students, online math class can be pretty rough if you're basically a student's trying to teach themselves math by just, they've got the textbook and maybe they can search online if they have questions, but it's pretty rough to teach yourself math with a textbook. A few years ago, I decided to start recording some videos. It's almost like a video lecture. It's almost like the same kind of content I would teach in my face-to-face classes. So I had a little setup where I could write and record video, like a video of what I was writing, and you'd hear my voice. And I began to make these videos where I tried to explain. I made one for each module. And sometimes it's multiple videos if the content was, there was so much content I couldn't squeeze it in one video. And at least for my students in the past 2 or 3 years, I've gotten a lot of very positive feedback saying that those videos really helped. I'm not going to claim, you know, I'm the greatest teacher or all that kind of stuff. And you may watch one of those videos and obviously think of better ways to teach it or ways you would have preferred it to be explained. I totally understand that. So with all caveats aside, we went ahead and put in the links to all those videos in those modules. So you can make students aware, especially if they're having trouble understanding, that these videos are there. And I tried to make them as simple as possible in terms of explaining the content. I try not to use a lot of high math language that sometimes students have a hard time understanding. I tried to really make it very practical. So it's there. And students in the past, I mean, students at the point, you know, have told me that, you know, if it weren't for those videos, they're pretty sure they would have failed the class because they weren't really understanding things. So I've gotten pretty positive feedback. And because of that, as I developed this course, and I talked to Jacob about this because I was a little bit hesitant because, you know, we all teach differently and we all emphasize different things. So I don't want to assume that the way I teach something is the way that you would prefer to teach it. But because of the positive feedback I got, I decided to go ahead and include the links to all the videos that I've created in the past few years. And now this is something where I'm very open to feedback, things that could be improved or whatever. So those are not, I know other classes have links to some videos, and sometimes like Pearson may have videos, and there's online sites which are great. Khan Academy and a guy named Patrick JMT. I mean, those are very good, and people link to those. But I created my own, and we've stuck them in this class, and they're there. So that's something that may be a little bit different about this class. And the good thing is in the modules, as Jacob pulled up here, so when they go to module 1, there's a link to the homework assignment, there's a link to the quiz. There will also be a link to these YouTube videos. And oftentimes, if there's multiple YouTube videos, then when you pull it up, it'll be like a table, and there will be links to those videos. So, and a lot of the videos are labeled of the topic. So if there's one kind of topic the students aren't understanding, they can maybe find that video and watch it, and maybe it'll help. So other than that, in terms of a student standpoint, everything's pretty much on the modules page. Like I said, my philosophy was, I could be wrong. Sometimes I think I don't think a lot of students, when you give them an enormous amount of content, I think some students, it's like white noise. I think students, when they start a class, they jump to the homework and the quiz and they sort of want to get their work done. And then if they have trouble to understand something, they'll go back and maybe try and sort through all the PowerPoints and this, that, and the other. So it's good that it's there. And for students who need it, it's a great resource. But like I explained at the top, because of the time frame we had to work with to get this class developed, we didn't really go to great lengths to try and pull in a lot of extra stuff, PowerPoints and learning aids and stuff. And that may be something we may want to enhance in the future. And of course, this class will be a work in progress, but for now, it's a pretty slimmed down version where it's typically, linking to the book resources, the textbook, and then these videos, and then we go from there. So by all means, this class, I assume in the next few years, will evolve and improve. But for now, obviously there were some deadlines of when Ivy Tech wanted to roll out these classes, so we were trying to make that happen for the summer.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Gary, so much for sharing your insights from having developed the course for us. And yes, we do have a pretty strict timeline in order to get content out on time for the summer. And I'm certain we'll probably have Gary around to fix anything that might come up and answer any questions that might come up with it. All right.
Yeah. So I guess final word for me is, some of you, maybe all of you, have taught this class before, or maybe have taught it face to face. So honestly, if I met all of you, I'd probably very quickly realize that you probably even know more than me. So I don't in no way want to sort of put myself up as the expert. But it's just a class I taught before and wanted to make it available. And by all means, if you have questions, concerns, reach out to me, or if you want to reach out to Jacob or any other IvyOnline people, that's perfectly appropriate. And any questions you have, don't leave them unasked, because obviously, we want to improve this class and make sure it goes well. Make sure, I guess in conclusion, usually my goal when I teach is to help students succeed. It doesn't mean we're going to help students sort of pass, although I guess passing is succeeding, but I mean, it obviously requires them to do the work. But we want to do all we can to aid them and help them to learn the content. And then when they're assessed, to show that they've learned the content, and then they will have succeeded. And in one sense, I think that's our goal also. So we want to do all we can to help the students. So if there's any barriers that you see, any things that are making it more difficult for students or it's hard to understand, by all means, those are the kinds of things we want to take care of, because online's pretty rough. Someone's sitting at home in their bedroom or in their house or their apartment by themselves, and they're trying to figure this out. And if things are not clear, if things aren't as simple as possible, I mean, it's rough to be on your own. You're taking this class, you've got stuff to do, and you can't figure out how to do things, how to get things open. So as much as possible, I know we want to make it so the students can understand what's required of them, they can execute it, and if they have the desire and the work ethic, then they can be successful. So we want to make sure there's no barriers to them doing what they need to do. So as you see things like that, please, by all means, let me know.
Excellent. Thank you. And I appreciate that student-centered philosophy for designing these courses. All right, excellent. Well, thank you, Gary, once again for having developed this course and given us kind of the initial walkthrough of it for anyone who might be teaching it for the first time. If anyone has any additional questions about Math137 online, please feel free to contact the publisher, Gary, or myself, and we'll gladly help you out. Publisher helping you more with issues you might have with setting up your content in MyLab. Thank you, Gary, again for your time. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to follow up with us.